Kelly, come on up. Kelly's all in on this one, I guarantee it. Who else? Who else? No, the man. Josiah, come on. Who? James, come on up. So we're going to play a little game. And this game is called Cardboard Box. Actually, it's not. It's called Bean Boozled. Yes. So, this is a new one. There's some new flavors in here. So, if you've never played this game, there are some really good tasting jelly beans in here. And then there are some ones that taste like they came out of the inside of a person's stomach. So, here we go. Here's the flavors just to go through them. The good one, toasted marshmallow, new flavor, stink bun. And then birthday cake, that sounds good. Dirty dishwasher. Dishwater. Sorry, dishwater. Then there's toothpaste, or berry blue, popcorn or rotten egg, peach or barf, chocolate pudding or canned dog food, juicy pear and booger, coconut and spoiled milk, tutti frutti or stinky socks, and strawberry banana smoothie, which sounds delicious, or dead fish. So we're going to start. We'll start over here with you. If you eat this, which all of you have said, I'm all in, you must eat the whole thing. You cannot spit it out. The entire thing. So who wants to start, Rebecca? You want to start over here? All right, here we go. I'll give you. Take a blue. Blue's easy. Oh, Josiah's out. Huh? Oh, we're not playing that. We're just picking. Tristan, come on up. Yeah. Who wants Tristan to come on up? Elaine, you want to play? Come on up. Bryce, come on. All right. Kristen, come on.
Yeah, Bryce.
Kristen.
Right. Okay. You two, each one of you pick a blue. Just a light blue, yep. You're going to get blueberry or a toothpaste. So let's see. Go ahead. Only one you're going to eat. Go. I'm sorry. Go. Blueberry, which is this? Does it taste like berry? Toothpaste. You want to stay up and keep playing the game? All right. Where's Kristen? Kristen and Kelly, come on up here. Since you guys are both dog people, please pick a brown one in here. There's a couple of brown ones right there. It's either chocolate pudding or dog food. Here we go. Go ahead. You guys both get dog food? That is beautiful. That's beautiful. Jed and Drew, why don't you guys go ahead and pick a white one? I'm sorry, you gotta pick the white one. There's the white one. The white one right there. Pick a white one. There's one right there or right there. Which one? This is either coconut. No, not that one. Or
the spoiled milk is so bad.
Here we go.
It's
There's
so
the trash
bad.
can there. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Shoot up.
He swallowed it.
Pick another one. Oh, get that one right there.
Come on.
Chew it up. Chew it up. Chew it. Chew it. Chew it. Chew it. You gotta chew it. No, it's under your tongue. I just saw you do it. Bite it. What is it? You think it's? You'll know if it's full of milk. You don't know that? All right, come here, you two. Get a speckled one and a speckled. This is either birthday cake or dirty dishwater.
Ready?
Go ahead. There you go. You gotta finish it. How is it, Bryce? Are you gonna throw up?
Trash can's up there.
Bryce, if you
Jake,
go up, I'll give you
come on,
$5.
come here. Alright, let's see. Okay. You want stinky socks or dead fish? Okay, so it's these two right here. These two right here. I think that's barf. It's vomit. So let's see. This is either vomit or peach. No, Jaden got it. How is it? No, that's disgusting. Who wants to go again? Jed, Jed, you go. Jed, come on over here. Who else got a good one? Jed, grab one of these green ones right here. Grab that one.
I do it every week.
Okay, then grab the brown one. Alright, here, grab that one. This is stink bug or toasted marshmallow. Alright, go for it. Go for it. It's stink bug. Can you breathe in Rebecca's face really quick? Are you still got that in your mouth?
Spit it out!
No, she's all. Are you gonna do it? Here, eat one of these.
Don't listen to the voices on the outside.
So,
You're all in.
Oh, you guys.
Oh, Lord, coming back up.
No, I don't want to. No. All right, you guys have a seat. This is a great game. Oh, I gotta get that all right. All right. So, this game, again, it's all in. They all came up here. They all wanted to play. They didn't know what they were going to get. Again, with the all in, you never know what's going to happen. This is some of the interesting things about being a believer, right? We talked the last couple of weeks of we don't know what is going to happen in our life, right? Dana and I had a great conversation. We had no idea it was going to happen today with our neighbor. We'd never met her before. She lived down the road. It's like a neighborhood neighbor. Don't know her. She's walking by. Our dog's going crazy. Her dog's going crazy. And we just started talking and come to find out, like, she has a million questions to ask Dana about being a mom, about how you do it, how do you have so many kids. I've had one kid. I'm going nuts. I have no clue what's happening. And just started really talking about her entire life. We had no idea, but this opportunity came. And it just presented itself. And if we weren't ready for that, man, it would have been a huge opportunity to us. Because I can almost see now that her and her husband are going to be at our house a lot. Just talking about life, just talking about being married, just talking about how to raise kids, just talking about work and schedule and all that kind of stuff. Because those are things that she kept bringing up. And it was really interesting that the Lord did this. And we really had to choose, because I'm an on-time person. I like being on time. But we chose that we're going to be late to here because the opportunity that came was more important than the practice that was going to happen here. And I think the Lord blessed that. And as we go in our life, man, guys, we got to be prepared for whatever happens. And this is one of those interesting stories. Go to 1 Kings chapter 18. As I was getting ready for tonight, I let Tyler know what we were doing. He was, man, this is one of my favorite passages in the whole Bible. And I'm really excited tonight because I love this passage because this really puts God's glory on display. 1 Kings chapter 18, starting in verse 25. Man, this is when, in verse 20, this is when Elijah goes on top of the mountain and he has this face-to-face confrontation with the prophets of Baal. Now, most of you guys probably heard it as Baal growing up, right? Let me just throw a little Hebrew at you. There is no ah sound in Hebrew. It's Baal. There's an apostrophe there. All right? So, it's the prophets of Baal, or the Baalan prophets, whatever. But as we go along, man, you see Elijah faced with this amazing opportunity. And he had no idea that it was going to happen. So, first, who is Elijah? Elijah is a prophet of Israel, right? He's out there addressing people, talking to the leaders, talking to the tribal leaders, talking to the families that are in charge and saying, here's what God wants for you to do. Here's what God needs you to do. Start leading the families this way. Start leading the people this way. And if they weren't doing something, Elijah would come and say, you're not leading your life correctly. You're not leading your family. Let me rebuke you in the name of love, in the name of the Lord, so we can get back to doing what we're supposed to be doing. That's who Elijah is, right? He was actually the first one to approach the royal family at this time and tell them that what they were doing was wrong. This is a key guy. And this guy's got a ton of experience when we first meet him in chapter 17, right? But his main fight was against pagan worship. Now, has anyone ever in here been involved in pagan worship?
Yeah.
All right, anything that's other than God and you worship it, that's pagan. All right? You worship something other than God sometimes. You worship a relationship, you worship a TV show, a band, a team, a game, academics, whatever it may be. We've all worshiped something other than God. And when you put anything in front of God, that is an idol. That's what he is fighting against. He is specifically fighting against these pagan worshipers of the god Baal. Now in chapter 17, he comes out. This is when we're introduced to him, and he says, hey, it's not going to rain until I say so. God told me to come tell you, your pagan worship is over, and you will learn that God is God, so here's what's going to happen. Until I say it's going to rain, this place is going to dry up like a sponge on a hot summer day. This place is going to roast. It's going to be arid. Rivers are going to dry up. Streams are going to dry up. And things are going to start going bad unless you turn your hearts around. That's the beginning of 17, right? Then the end of 17, he has this interesting conversation. We kind of get to see God's glory displayed a little bit with this widow and her son, where they're about to run out of food, and he goes to their house and says, hey, make me some food instead of you some food. And she said, I can't, because if I give you food, I'm not going to have any food. He says, make me some food. So she gets the last little bit of oil, last little bit of flour. She makes some bread, and she gives it to him. He goes, okay, go make yourself something. She goes, I told you, I don't have any. He said, go make yourself something. And she goes back, and there's flour and there's oil. He says, you keep using that. She keeps using a little bit of flour, a little bit of oil, and it never runs out. For months and months and months, she feeds her and her son. But a little bit later, her son actually dies. And she says, what has happened to my son? What can you do? And Elijah comes, and that son ends up being raised from the dead through Elijah, through the power of God. And she gets to see God firsthand. And then we get to chapter 18, and now there is starvation among the land, amongst the animals. The animals are dying off. They're having to search for new lands. Everywhere they go, there is no water anywhere. Verse 1 through 6, they're searching. The king is sending people out. Go find new land. Go find some grass. Go find something for our animals to eat. Find something for them to drink, right? There is, in 7 through 16, we see Obadiah, who's one of the prophets at the time, who's working for the king. And he runs into Elijah. Elijah says, hey, I want to meet the king. Bring him to come see me. And Obadiah's like, I'm not going to do that, because here's what's going to happen is you're going to flee because you're going to get scared. And when you do that, he's going to think I'm lying, and then he's going to kill me. So I'm not going to do that. And Elijah's like, no. I'm not going anywhere. God's got me right here for a plan and a purpose. Bring him and let's have a meeting. Right? So he brings Ahab to him. And we see in 17 through 19, when Ahab saw Elijah, this is what it says. Ahab said to him, is it you, you troubler of Israel? So Elijah's made a name for himself. You're the one that's causing all the problem. You're the one that said it wasn't going to rain. It hasn't rained. Now we're destitute. Now we're messed up. You're messing up our finances. You're messing up our kingdom. You are the troublemaker in everything that's happened here. And this is what Elijah says. I haven't troubled Israel. You have. In your father's house, because you've abandoned the commandment of the Lord and you follow the Baals. Now, therefore, send and gather all of Israel to me at Mount Carmel. And the 450 prophets of the Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah who eat at Jezebel's table. He says, hey, we're going to have a meeting. We're going to have a get together. Get all your prophets, 450 of these people, 450 of these people, all the people of Israel, and let's have a big mountain revival, because it's about to go down. And you can almost see him like, right? He's got the robe on, he's got the gloves on, he's all taped up, he's got the Vaseline on his face, he's ready to go. He's ready to go fight, because God is about to go to work. He's got this boldness in him, right? So here's what happens. Verse 20, Ahab sent to all the people of Israel and gathered all the prophets together at Mount Carmel. And Elijah came near to the people and said, how long will you go limping between two different opinions? He said, how long are you going to waver? You say you love God, but then I see you on these days and you're loving false idols. And then you say you love God again, then I see you on these days and you're loving something else. And then say you love God, you keep going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. How long are you going to be a fence rider in your faith? And he's just calling people out. Wouldn't it be interesting if Pastor Mark got up on a Sunday morning and was like, hey, I just need to stop the song right now. Tyler, you're living in sin, brother. I just want everyone to know that. Because you say one thing on Wednesday night when you come in here and you share testimony about what God's doing, but on Thursday, God told me you did this and this and this. You need to stop doing that. How long do you think Tyler's going to come to church? That really wouldn't fly, right? If you start calling out people's sin, could you imagine that? People gossiping in the church. He goes, hey, this group of people over here that are talking right now, God wants you to stop that trash talking. Because this person over here that you're talking about, yes, this person right here, you look at them, they're talking about you. So let's know they're talking about. Could you imagine that happening? Our church would go, and just doors would shut. Because no one wants to be called out on their sin. We love living in our sin. But this is what he's doing, right? Because how long are you going to waver? How long are you going to go in between two opinions? Here's what he says. If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal is God, then follow him. He's kind of saying, make up your mind. Be a big boy, be a big girl, put on your big boy and big girl pants, and make a decision. If you're going to do it, do it. And if you're going to be all in with God, then let's be all in. But if you're going to be all in with Baal, do it. Stand on that. Be proud of who you are. It's essentially what he's telling him right here. He says to the people. Yeah, the people didn't answer. Of course, no one answers when they're called out. Elijah said to the people, even I only, am left a prophet of the Lord. He said, there's only one of me. And there's 450 of these people. And 450 of these people, let's have a contest. I love that. One against at least 900 other prophets. Again, he's got the robe on, the gloves, he's taped up, ready to go. He goes, this is fair, I'm going to whoop you guys. He knows it in his head. Like it's about to go down. He goes, here's what we're going to do. Right? He says, let 2 bulls be given to us. You guys choose one bull, and you cut it into pieces, you lay it on the wood, but don't put fire on it. And I'll prepare the other bull and lay it on the wood, and I'll put no fire to it. And you call upon the name of your God, and I'm going to call on the name of my Lord. The God who answers by fire, that's the real God. Easy test, right? Easy test. Cut up the animal, put it on the wood, call your God. If it catches on fire and burns up, you're the winner. Easy. There's the rules. And the people answered, it is well spoken. That means, let's do this thing. Then Elijah said to the prophets of Baal, choose for yourself one of the bulls, prepare it. For you are many. Call on the name of your God, but put no fire. And they took the bull that was given to them, they prepared it, and they called on the name of Baal from morning until noon, saying, O Baal, answer us. But there was no voice, no one answered, and they limped around on the altar that they had made. That means they were stumbling around, acting like they were in a daze. They were probably speaking in all these different languages and different voices and just flailing themselves around. There was no voice. And at noon, Elijah mocked them, saying, cry louder. He's a god. Either he's musing, all right, he's relaxing, or he's relieving himself. He's going to the bathroom, and he's just not there right now. All right? He's on a journey, or perhaps maybe he's asleep, and you have to wake him up. And they cried louder. And then look how extreme they go. They cut themselves with swords and lances, and blood gushed out upon them. This is how devoted they were. They're sitting there, stumbling around, doing these crazy things everywhere. Then they start getting knives and swords. They start cutting themselves, and blood is strewn everywhere, right? You can just see these bloody mass of people just bouncing into each other and blood dripping on the ground. You can imagine the mess that is everywhere. And he's looking at this going, man, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely nuts. And this is just pure evil carnage. Looks like a homicide scene. This is ugly looking. These people are totally devoted. He's like, maybe he's going to the bathroom. Maybe he's asleep. Keep doing it, kids. Let's keep going. And at midday, as midday passed, they raved on until the time of the offering of the oblation. But there was no voice, no one answered, no one paid attention. So from morning, about 9 o'clock in the morning, until 6 o'clock at night, they sat there and they cut themselves and they screamed and they yelled and they cried and they went crazy and nothing happened. Right? This is absolutely ridiculous. Right? When's the last time you ever cut yourself for a foreign God? Hopefully never. And if you have a problem with that, come talk to me because that's a real issue. This is what we're talking about here. This is disgusting. This is absolutely sinful. They are desecrating themselves over this foreign fake God. And for hours and hours and hours and hours they did this. Here's what Elijah says, verse 30. Elijah said to all the people, come near to me. And all the people came near. And you can imagine, they didn't clean up. All right? So all these people come around. Blood dripping from them, soaked, hot, from the sun beating on them all day long. You can imagine this scene, right? That's there. And he prepared the altar of the Lord that had been thrown down. Elijah took 12 stones according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, to whom the word of the Lord came, saying, Israel shall be your name. And those stones he built an altar in the name of the Lord. And he made a trench around. He dug a trench around the altar that it contains 2 seah of seeds. And he put wood in order. And he cut the bull into pieces and he laid it on the wood. And he said, fill 4 jars full of water. And when jars, we're not talking jars. We're talking big barrels of water. Right? Big, huge barrels of water. He says, pour it on the burnt offering and the wood. Do it a second time. And they did a second time. Do it a third time and a third time. And there was so much water. What's it say? That water ran around the altar, filled the trench with water. This was soaking wet. Every bit of this is sitting in a pool, essentially. All right? So take a kid pool, the little plastic kiddie pool. Put a dead bull in there. Fill it full of water. And then try to light it on fire. That's what's about to happen. All right? And at that time of the offering of the oblation, Elijah the prophet came near and said, O Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known this day that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and that I have done all these things, that your word, answer me, O Lord, answer me, that this people may know that you are the Lord, that you are God, and that you have turned their hearts, and that you have turned their hearts back. Then fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt offering, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and licked up all of the water that was in the trench. Now, anyone been camping? A couple people. Have you ever tried to start a fire by stacking rocks and trying to light them on fire? Anybody? Now, I'm no Bear Grylls. I'm not a survivalist. But I'm pretty sure it's hard to light a rock on fire. Jed, you're a farmer. Right? Jed's my local farmer. You've dealt with rocks before. Have you ever been farming and dug up a rock and tried to light it on fire? Why not, Jed? Because they're not flammable. Not even a scientist, and he knows that. Rocks don't catch on fire easily. Where's the only place you're ever going to see a rock on fire? In a volcano. That's the amount of heat that it takes, right? But what happens? Fire comes out of the sky, hits the ground, burns up the sacrifice, the wood, the rocks, and the dust. And everything is consumed and gone. Now, how do they know the dust? That seems a little ridiculous. Right? How do you know when dust or dirt has been burned? What is there? What's left? No?
Oh.
Not ashes. Glass.
Oh.
There would have had to have been pieces that look like glass. If you take sand and you heat it up hot enough and it comes together, you get pieces of glass. So where that was something totally different than what was there before. Everything else was gone. Look what it says. And when the people saw it, they fell on their face and they said, the Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God. That is awesome. They repented. They got back to God. When you read 40, and Elijah said to them, seize the prophets of Baal, let no one escape. And they seized them, and Elijah brought them down to the brook Kishon and slaughtered them there. Red bow right at the end of that thing. What in the world does all of this mean for us? Okay, here's what not to do tomorrow. Don't go into your cafeteria and stand on a table and say, pagan worshipers! Yes, you! Stack your trays up and pour extra milk on them. Don't do that. Alright? Don't start this holy war in your cafeteria as if you're going to call down fire. Alright? Because here's what's going to happen. You're going to look nuts. That's what's going to happen. You're going to look crazy if you do that. This was not a prescription for us to go, anytime you need to prove that God's real, just start calling down fire and God will show up. No, this is a description for a time and a place. All right? So what do we see? Someone in that story, just glance over it. When did God tell Elijah to go do this and take this step of faith? I'll give you a quick answer. He didn't. But Elijah lived such a life devoted to God that he knew that God could do amazing things. He was so in tune with loving God and doing what God wanted that he knew that God could do amazing things. You think Elijah just came up with this idea, or do you think God put this on his heart? I think God put it on his heart. If God puts something on your heart and you discern that this really is the will of God, guess what? God has a plan to do it. That's what we see here, right? Elijah was so in tune. And imagine living a life so in tune that as you walk down the hallway, God says, hey, I want you to stop right now. Talk to that girl in the blue coat. And you start talking to her and she gets saved. And God told you that beforehand. Wouldn't that be so cool? Wouldn't that make things so much easier? That'd be awesome. You're like, hey, I just want to let you know. God told me to come here. I'm not crazy. But God told me to come talk to you. And that person's like, I just need someone to talk to. Thank you so much. Okay, I know. Yeah, God told me. It'd be awesome, right? It'd be amazing. This is what we see here. God laid it on his heart. He did it. Great things happen. That's the first thing. We can live in this kind of life, right? There's no reason that you have to be Elijah to do this. There's no difference between you and Elijah. He was called, you are called to do great things. What do we see? Second thing, he was bold. But not just bold by himself. He was bold because he was unified with God. Does it name another person that he was with? Were there other prophets of God there? He said, no, I'm alone. This is just me. But I'm unified with God, and with God I can overcome any enemy. My unity with God matters more than having people next to me. We see the boldness in that. Third, what do we see? That in the end, God will receive justice and glory. Evil will be put to shame, and God will be glorified.
Mm.
Let me just soften this. No, not soften it. God's going to do it with or without you. He doesn't need your help. But he desires you to come along with it.
Yeah.
He wants you to come up to the mountaintop and call on his name. He wants you to walk down your hall in boldness. He wants you to approach people. He wants you to discern. But the only way that you can do that is to live a life that's all in. You have to choose. Am I going to be all in with God, or am I going to be all in with everything else? The same challenge that went out to these false prophets goes out to you each and every day. Are you going to follow God, or are you going to go between two opinions? Man, Elijah, we see him as this amazing guy. Because what happens to him, right? What happens right after this? The guy retreats. He runs away in fear. He's human. He just saw this amazing thing happen. What's he do? Runs off. Says, God, I'm scared. Because we have to make this choice. If you're going to live a life of all in, then do it. I love Tyler's testimony that he gave. He had an amazing opportunity that life threw at him. Good job, good money, good place, be great for his family, but it wasn't where God wanted him. He could have chosen that. We were like, dude, that's a logical choice. Smart move. But he said, you know what? That's not where God wants me. That's a hard place to be. But he decided, I'm going to go where God sends me, not where a paycheck sends me, not where happiness sends me. Man, guys, we look at this. Elijah had no idea what was going to happen that day until God put it on his heart. Every day, are you communicating with God? What do you have for me? The only way that you're going to be willing to ask that question, what do you have for me, is if you are ready for whatever he has for you. Because if you're not, you're going to miss the message. You're not going to be faithful in doing it because you're not prepared. Remember, don't go into your cafeteria and call everyone a pagan. Don't start calling people out on their sin. That's not your job. Your job is just to listen when God says, hey, let's go here. All right, let's go. Don't hesitate. Don't question. You just say, let's go. Let's pray. God, as we close tonight, God, let us live lives of faith. Elijah was a man of faith. It's hard to see that he ever got told the plan or the purpose for what was going to happen. He just listened to your voice. He discerned that it was real, and he said, this is the plan. This is what God wants. And God, when you have a plan, it is going to be accomplished. God, let this story inspire us, but Elijah is not our God. Jesus is. Elijah's a man. And just a chapter later, he ran away scared. But Jesus never ran. Elijah can inspire us, but he can't save us. Let this account of a great man of God inspire us. But God, let us rest in the unity that we have with Jesus Christ. God, for these students and leaders, myself, as we listen to you, as we are discerning your word, God, call us to great things. And with that, God, help us handle the fear that comes with it. Because what you have for us is always going to be bigger than our plan. It's always going to be more blessed. And I pray that you are glorified through us as we follow you. We pray this in your name. Amen. Guys, a couple of announcements before we are done. One,